How are you? It's Patrina Dixon. That is my money lady. Thank you again for tuning in. For those of you that have been rocking with me, those of you that are new, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a speaker on the topics of money, personal finance, and grants for entrepreneurs or grants for small business owners, I should say. So I go around and I teach personal finance workshops all over the country. And I do that in colleges, schools, universities, businesses, events. So if you are looking for an engaging speaker to talk on entrepreneurship, money, or grants for small business owners, look your girl up. And I also provide resources for people that are on their money journey. So drop down below and hit one of those links to get the resource that's best for you. So today on the show, I have y'all. I am so excited about this episode because I have one of my Goldman Sachs 1 million Black women, Black in business cohort sister Lasheena
Yay!
Williams. What's up, girl?
Hey, how are you? I'm so glad to be here with you.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So she and I graduated in December from this amazing program that helped us or has set us up to get our businesses to the next level. So I'm so excited. Our topic today that we're going to talk about is nonprofits. And let me tell you why she's a person that I asked to come to talk about this topic is because she is, one of the queens in this space. So tell them a little bit about yourself, Lasheena, as it pertains to nonprofits.
Hey everyone, I'm so glad to be here. As mentioned, my name is Lasheena Williams, and I am a nonprofit enthusiast, and that's the name of our consulting firm, Nonprofit Enthusiast. We provide full services to nonprofit organizations, whether you're just in idea phase, getting ready to start out, or you've been in existence for years. We're here to support you along your journey. So my journey in nonprofit started decades ago. Working for a nonprofit, I was doing direct services for youth. I have a passion for the youth arena and out of school time arena. I was doing direct services. Eventually, I went into administration, overseeing a $2.5 million program located here in Florida. And then eventually, I was able to go work for the funder, which is local government, and overseeing not only just that program at a larger scale of $5 million, but eventually overseeing a larger pot of $34 million that went out to nonprofit organizations within our community. And the reason why I like to share that, and I'm kind of like summarizing it, is because I like that. I definitely want your listeners to understand that the lens that I am wearing is from different perspectives. So as a direct service provider, administrator, a funder, so all, and also I did not mention this while, I did my formal education, my master's in nonprofit management, and while doing that, I started my own nonprofit in 2012. So I'm an executive director and founder, just like a lot of, I'm sure some of your listeners are. So I just like to share that so everyone knows the different lens and different perspective and experience I bring when working with organizations.
Oh no, you didn't, girl. No. That's me adding to my show. One of this wonderful man. His name is Eric. I met him. He's an innkeeper in Martha's Vineyard. He was like, "You need a little thing in your show," and I'm like, "Oh no, you didn't." So
Okay,
y'all heard
I
her.
love that.
He was like, "Wait, let me just tell you a little bit about nonprofit. If you don't know me, let me let you know why I'm the one you should one
Hmm.
of the people you should listen to regarding nonprofit." So you
Hmm.
talked about your master level education in nonprofit space. You own a nonprofit yourself. The dollars that you have worked with as it pertains to nonprofit. So so I want you to dispel a thing or what I hear, a myth, I think I'll call it,
Hmm.
that people have with nonprofits. So a lot of people, what I call start off in for profits, and then some people consider going nonprofit fully or having a nonprofit arm or something like that. But one of the reasons why, at least I have heard that people don't do that because they feel like they can't get paid when they start a nonprofit. So talk to us a little bit about that. Is there truth to that? Is there not?
It's so funny that you say that because this is one that I am constantly combating. So I like to say nonprofit don't mean broke, y'all. Like, we see large scale nonprofits with executive directors that's making over six figures, but the biggest difference when it comes to nonprofit and a for-profit, there are quite a few differences. But one of them is the nonprofit, when you raise those funds, it goes back into the mission of the organization. So what that means is if you're a nonprofit founder, you may say, hey, I'm founding this nonprofit. Where in a profit world, you'll be like, okay, I'm going to take my owner's draw out. You may not necessarily have spent the time in the business, but you still can draw that out. You can't do that in a nonprofit. The money goes right back into the mission. But if you're working your nonprofit, just like any other company or nonprofit you may work for, you can get paid for doing so. Of course, there's some different things around what that can look like for you, but you can get paid. If you're raising those funds for your organization, of course you're going to make sure that it's a reasonable compensation. That's something your board would support you in, and that's another difference when it comes to for-profit and nonprofit. You're going to have your board, and at the end of the day, it's not your business. If you are a public charity, it's your board's, right? And we've seen instances where the board had to take control of an organization. So that's something else to keep in mind. So whenever I have organizations that come to me, I really try to get down to what are your goals? If I hear a lot of things that align with a profitable organization, like I want to be able to, leave my full-time job, work this business. If I hear a lot of sale, make money, make money, make money, then I normally tell them the best place for you is probably a for-profit structure. If it's more like I'll hear the opposite where I don't hear money at all. I just want to give to my community. I just want to be able to have an impact. When I hear a lot of those type of terms, okay, a nonprofit will be great for you. But there's that dangerous line of, yes, you're going to give, but also you need to understand the importance of fundraising to help being able to meet the mission of your organization. I know I kind of shared a lot, but yeah, that's
No,
that's
that's
yeah.
exactly what people need to know, because I think and I love how you framed it, because I'm sure people come to you with the idea or notion or desire to start a nonprofit, and then when you start to do that, what I'll call discovery part of it, you're like, yeah, no, that's really probably not what you want based on what you're
Mm-mm.
describing. So I'd like that you added that part in. So let's just say, okay, through that discovery process, you now learn, okay, maybe this is a person that a nonprofit lane would be appropriate. So you talked about the board, so let's go there. So the board, what does that mean? What does that need to be? What are pros and cons, and what are things that people should consider when they're thinking about the board?
Okay, so your board is one of the first places that you want to start in identifying your founding board members. And oftentimes your passion is going to just make you want to just say, hey, you're my board members. But I always tell organizations that you really have to be strategic with who you select as your founding board members. If auntie uncle does not align with, the mission that you have, and they may not be able to provide oversight over the organization, they may not be the best person for you. So working your networks, identifying, I normally like to recommend completing a board matrix based off of what you're looking to do. You start looking at, well, what would be the ideal board member for me? Maybe someone in the finance realm, maybe someone in attorney. What does that look like for me? And one way you can also narrow that down is looking up the 12 sectors for community change. So in those sectors, some of those areas, like what I've mentioned before, so there's media, youth, parents. What are these sectors that I need to help grow the mission that I want? And then use that as a starting point to identify who your board members are. You generally need at least 3 to start. And oftentimes you as the founder may be one of them, depending on, the nature of your organization. Yeah.
I love that. And, I chuckle every time I think about boards. And I don't know if you know the show Empire. Did you ever watch that show? And every
I
time I
did.
think about Lucius being voted off the,
There we go.
I know, I love it. Every time I hear nonprofit and board, I think about that. I know that, difference in our, I believe it was a difference in Ontario, but it's amazing to me. But I do know, not personally know, but I know of another situation where a person started a nonprofit and
hmm
then was voted off. Like, is that part just amazes me that somebody could have so much time and effort into something that could eventually land where they're no longer at the helm. But that's a story for a different
Yep.
day. So you choose your board, being selective the way that you just mentioned, and you one path you went down. And I'll just ask you to expound on that a little bit. You
Hmm.
said maybe it's a finance person, maybe it's somebody in the sectors that you just mentioned. Are there other um, I don't want to say requirements. Are there other skill sets that you think are ideal as people try to round out their boards?
Um, uh, I'll say individuals that's compliant because remember your board oversees the governance of your organization. Um, Individuals that are not afraid to make the acts or at least passionate about what your mission is because you can help train your board members on making the acts, but someone that aligns and passionate because that's another part of the board duties will be to help fundraise for the organization to help it continue to operate, especially in the founding years.
Okay.
um so I would say those are some characteristics you want to look for in a board member. So and at the when you're founding, you want also don't want them to be afraid to work. Because
Mm,
when you're an established organization, your board may meet 4 times a year. They don't necessarily have to put their hands in it because you got staff, you got a team. But when you're starting out as a smaller organization, a lot of time your board and your volunteers are your team. So I'm not afraid to contribute of their time as well.
I love it. I was a board. I've been a member of different boards throughout my years, and there was another component of at least one of the boards that I was on, and that was a financial component. Like there was a dollar sum that we needed to pay. That's a part of it of being on the board. Number one, number two, there was a defined, I want to call it, number of hours, so capacity wise, that we need to give to the board. I don't know if anybody like fact checked the capacity part, but it was written in the board rules. So can you talk a little bit about? Do you see a lot of boards where they, ask their board members to comply with a financial obligation and a time commitment obligation?
Yeah, so I've been on several different boards that either you're giving of your money or you're giving of your time or you're giving a little bit of both. So I've seen that, including within the founding years of my own organization, that's the agreement that us as a board came to. We had some board members who they may not have had the financial resources, but they were passionate. They can donate their time. So we came up with a number of hours that they will need to donate that almost equivalent, which honestly I felt like it was more than what the actual dollar amount was. When individuals give of their time, especially with the value of what volunteer time is, sometimes it exceeds money. And then the board members who could not contribute their time, they gave their money, is how we did that in the founding years. So I've seen it all, and especially if you're an organization starting out, you got this idea, you got this passion, you may need to come up with some structure like that, a little bit of both. You have your those that's going to give up the money and going to help really go hard on the fundraising, but then you also have those who's going to give up their time and serve the organization.
I love it. So now the person has gotten them, we're just taking them through the nonprofit journey, right?
Mhm.
So you've decided through the discovery, yeah, okay, maybe this is, and you want to help the community and do whatever it is that, you've made the assessment that that is the right route for them. They now have identified their board. What would be the next step that you would encourage the person to do at that point?
So now you have your founding board. The next thing you'll do is host your first board meeting, I would recommend. So you'll pull those board members together, share with them your heart, why you're starting this organization, and then also start agreeing upon certain things. Some things that you may agree upon in that first meeting is who's going to do the official filings for my organization. Is it going to be someone on the board? Did you identify someone? Is this a paid service that you're going to go? So who's going to do that? What does that look like? And then also the approval to move forward with the filings is another thing that you could vote upon during that time. You could vote upon the bank account, like, hey, this is going to be our first bank account. Just go ahead and get the board to vote on all of that, and just make sure, get their blessing on, okay, we're okay with open a bank account. once your filings come through at this bank. So those are the types of things that you can identify early on with the board in that first board meeting, so you can move into the next phase, which is your filings portion, and you already have their blessing and approval, and you've already identified who's going to do it to keep it going. Yeah.
Okay, great. And now, you mentioned several times filing, so I want to talk a little bit about that. So I know there is a filing from a state level, and then there's
hmm
the IRS filing. So can you talk like a little bit about you don't have to go into what you need to do for each, but what
hmm
the differences are between the two?
Yeah, and before I do that, something that I did miss in that first board meeting, you definitely want to go through your bylaws. I don't know how I forgot that.
Oh,
So your bylaws and your founding policies, that's a good time to go through that as well, because you're going to need that to now move into this filing phase. So with the
okay.
filing phase, yes, see, there's filings that you'll do within your state, and some of those filings may look like your articles of incorporation. Something, and I'll just kind of throw some of this in there because what happens is a lot of times I know founders, I was there. You're gonna do a lot of research and you're gonna be like, I could just do this myself. I'm not gonna get a company to do it. I'm gonna do it. You're gonna end up spending so much more time, the other
Mhm.
currency outside of money. I'm looking it up, but whichever, you choose to do that. And what happens is you miss some of the language that's needed. So when you get to the IRS phase and you end up costing you more time and money to go back and fix it, but that's a whole nother thing. So yes, you'll do your articles of incorporation within your state. Some other filings that happen within your state, some states require that you do your charitable solicitation. They call them different names, but pretty much allowing you to solicit funds within your state. Another filing, if your organization allows you to file for tax exempt status, you'll be doing that as well, all within the state, and there's orders to getting that done. With the IRS, a couple filings that you'll be doing with them is you'll be doing your EIN, which after your articles gets approved, you'll apply for your EIN online with them. And then the other filing you'll do is either your 501(c)(3) status filing with them. So those are the two filings that you'll be doing with the IRS as a part of the filing portion.
And so let me clarify or ask you to clarify something. So you said you do your tax exempt at the state level, and then the 501(c) at the IRS level. Are those two different? Can you just talk a little bit about
Yeah,
each of those?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
what is the tax exempt at the state level versus the 501(c), which I thought was a tax exempt status?
Yeah, so you get tax exempt status, you get the 501(c)(3) status through the IRS, but then your state also can allow you tax exemption so that when you're making purchases, you can show your certificate. Some states do it, some states do not. So like
Okay.
let's say like in the state of Florida, we're a state that do that. So you file your tax exempt certificate, and then whenever you go somewhere, you can show that in order to waive the taxes
Oh,
for
okay.
anything that your nonprofit purchases. But
And
you have to have your 501(c)(3) in order to be able to get that.
oh, okay, got it, got it.
Yeah.
So you file at the state level for a nonprofit, and then you go to the IRS for 501(c), and then you go to the state for the local
Yeah,
level.
yeah. I didn't
Okay.
list it in order. Yeah, I listed more in who you go
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
versus the order of how you do it. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, okay, got it. So
hmm
so let's go to the 501(c) side of it. Why,
Okay.
why, why does somebody want that? Why is it important and length of time, like that sort of stuff?
So 501(c)(3) status, if you are doing like charitable work within your community, and I know earlier I talked about some of the things, the motivation behind you starting your nonprofit, you definitely want 501(c)(3) status because it opens up the opportunity for you to have the public help support and fund your mission. So without that, you might have a very hard time raising funds. And I know I could give an example. When I started my organization in 2012, the first 6 months we did not have that status, and back then we had to only do the long form. This now they got a short form, but there was only the long form, so you had to wait 6 months to get the approval. But so those first 6 months, anything we like purchased or whichever, a lot of that was out of our own pockets. But
Mhm.
the second we got our 501(c)(3) status, we were able to get in kind from different stores and get donations from different places. So it opened that door up where we were no longer, I can confidently say we were not going out of our personal pockets anymore, because this opened us up to be able to have the public help support us in the mission that we're doing. So that's one of the biggest reasons to get it. If you're you're doing, sometimes you just do things because you love it, you're serving the community. Through doing this helps you bring in additional funds.
Yeah, that which is always great, right? When you
Yeah.
have a mission that you start this for, and when you can have funds to help you do so, that definitely is helpful.
hmm
What was the question? So you mentioned long and short form. Like, what can you expound on that a little bit?
So there's the long form, which is the 1023, and the short form, which is the 1023 easy. So the short form, so the long form is designed. There's actually a questionnaire that would tell you whether or not you qualify to do the shorter form. Ideally, if you qualify for the shorter form, do the shorter form. It is a lot shorter than the long form. The long form really allows you to explain things. Like, for instance, if you're a church or a college, the IRS want to know, well, what exactly are you planning to do? If you're a money organization or doing some sort of financial literacy, they want to know, well, what kind of finances are you teaching the community? So they want to know that, and you have to explain that on the long form. So that's
Oh
the
yeah,
like
you
simplest.
did go in there with the
Yes, I did.
financial literacy. I love how
I
you dropped
did.
that in
We
there.
talk about money,
I know you
right?
didn't. But yes, we do. Money,
Yeah,
money,
yeah.
money.
Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. So yeah, so that's the like the simplest way I can explain the differences between the form. If you don't meet the criteria for the easy, they want to know more. The 1023 allows you to explain more, so they can take a look at that. And it is a longer process for the 1023 than it is for the easy form, which is a much shorter form.
And what's the time frame for that one, the shorter form?
It varies. I've seen it where it's gone like a month, and I've seen it where it's gone like 3 months. Generally, yeah, it fluctuates. And normally when you file, you can see on the IRS website where they are with their dates and how long it will take.
Okay.
hmm
So now you've gone through the state, you've done your 501(c), and you got the 3 months, whatever that is, long or short. What's
hmm
next? Is that the end? What is that the end of the line, if
Oh,
you will? And now you're set?
no way. Like, this is a journey. I just definitely have to
Oh,
say that if you are someone who's thinking about starting a nonprofit and think that you're going to just get everything up and running within the first 6 months to a year, yeah, this is a journey. And what I like to say, like, so at Nonprofit Enthusiasts, we believe in capacity building. So we do a lot of things under the icebergs, the things to make you strong so that you're that tough iceberg over the ice, right? So a lot of that capacity building has to happen. And it's one of those things that no matter how old your nonprofit is, you will continuously continue to do to advance your organization. So the next phase that I typically recommend for organizations, you got your board, you got your filing, now you're going into some business planning, so to speak. And where I like to start is with our and depending on the organization, sometimes we have to reverse this step, but we're developing your mission, your vision, your core values. That's what's happening during that phase. You're developing your programs and services, and why that is important, because a lot of organizations like to jump. I'm going straight to the communication phase because that's how we operate in different quadrants. Is how we provide our services. So they'll jump to the marketing phase, but have nothing to market because they didn't sit down to strategically plan. Yes.
I love it. What are you even talking about? Because you haven't put, yeah, I love it. So was this a part of your business before you went through the program we went through? Because that is a lot of learning personas and things of that nature. I gained that and the ability to hone in. Were you doing that before the program?
Yeah, for
Oh,
yes, yeah, yeah. Because through the years of doing like nonprofit work and being a founder and so forth, a lot of this I did not do in the order that I'm recommending. It's almost like, I took the fall to now teach others like, no, 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 let's do it this way. And then also being at a previous funder, that helped prove why you have to do it this way. Because I would see organizations have to return funding, and none of the organizations, that's our goal. The organization we work with, you're not doing that. You know what I mean? Because you're going to build first and then go towards, getting the money so you can sustain the money. And I must say, a lot of organizations come into us They may have just started, they did their filing, now they're like, okay, I'm ready to apply for a grant, and we have to say, no, you're not. Let's back
Wait,
up a little.
wait, you said return money?
Yeah. If
Wait,
yep, yep, yep. If you get a grant and you don't meet the deliverables for that grant,
uh,
a lot of funders will ask you to return those funds. Some of the
oh
reasons
wow.
that you won't do it, you won't meet them, is because you never spent time doing a lot of the program planning, the business planning, the building
Oh,
that I'm talking about. Yeah. So that's why,
wow.
yeah, you do not want to return funds. Yeah. So yeah. Yep,
That's
yep, yep.
amazing. Like that's eye opening to me. That people like I don't know. I like so maybe because I'm the money lady. It is like no.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
mean? Okay, what do I need to do to make sure that I don't have to? That's very interesting.
Exactly.
And I like that you are ensuring that the people you work with, or even within the segment, they understand. Like, do what I call, and even the core of the business that I do from a financial space. Like, don't put the roof on till you have a solid foundation. Like, don't go and start, oh my gosh, I found the land and boom, the house is built. And it was like, dude, like you spent 30 seconds on the foundation and you did all of this. This is going to crumble. Like, oh
That's
my
it.
gosh.
Yep,
It's, yeah, exactly. So
that's
I love
it.
that
Right.
you're sharing. You do not want to go that route, potentially get money and have to return the money that maybe you actually even spent because you didn't have all the meat, the foundation
Yep,
is what I'm going to call it.
that's it.
Wow, that's amazing. That
That's
even
it
happens
right there.
in the nonprofit
Yep.
space. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. So something I want to just elaborate on in the when it comes to planning, I like to say, just because I'm a foodie, if you go to a restaurant and there's nothing on the menu, what are you going to buy? There's nothing for the consumer to buy, right? So in nonprofit, if a funder comes to you and you don't have your program and services built out, what are they going to invest in? And I
Mm,
just want anyone thinking about starting a nonprofit, who has a nonprofit, if you didn't spend time building your programs, I really encourage you to do so. And it would definitely be worth doing so, because we like to skip around, and it's really important to build your program and services so you have a menu that your donors can invest in to help achieve your organization's mission.
I love it. I love it. So, do you find a lot of people, and maybe this is even like describing what you actually did for yourself? Do you see people going from having a for-profit business to a nonprofit, or do people have for-profit businesses and then start a nonprofit that may run the same track but have two different foundations? We'll use that word.
I would say a lot of organizations, okay, do people do that? Do they move from for profit to nonprofit? Yes. But a lot of the organizations that I work with, they have both.
Okay.
And we talk through what that looks like, because it goes back to, as well, remember, at the end of the day, the nonprofit is not yours. So it's the boards. So having both is ideal. There's different things, like, I normally, there's like different questions I'll ask to help get them to where they want to go, to identify the best route. But generally, for the most part, it's both.
Yeah.
I work with and honestly, you have to be careful having both. Um, and what I mean by that is having the clear line of delineation of what's the difference between your nonprofit and your for-profit. An example of that is I worked with but they can work beautifully together. Meaning your for-profit, any giving that you give can go, can be done through your nonprofit. You donate to your nonprofit and give out any, funds or anything. They can work beautifully together. Um, so, like, for instance, I worked with a counseling center who realized that a lot of their clients who could not afford their services, they would have to turn away. So as a result, they said, "Hey, I'm going to start a nonprofit arm." So their nonprofit arm provides similar services to the for-profit, but the biggest difference is it's for those who cannot afford services. So that's the delineation that they have. If you can't afford services, you get served through our nonprofit, and we'll fund it for you. It's kind
Yeah.
of like how they made that clear delineation. So
Yeah.
that's, so that just knowing that when having both, but they can work beautifully together, if set up right.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've laid down some amazing information. I want to give you the opportunity if there's any other step that you want to add in to say here, to make sure you share that here. If not, if people are interested and they want to work with you, they have more questions about nonprofit, the setting up of, or the maybe I thought I want, but maybe not after you sharing them the pros and cons. Now is the time. Tell them like if there's a step to round out, you can go ahead and do that here, or you can tell them where they can find you and what your company does as it pertains to nonprofits.
I feel like I think I hit on a lot of the core steps for it. So, founding your board, doing your nonprofit filings, and investing the time into planning your organization, what that looks like, and not skipping over your programs and services. So that's what I definitely encourage organizations to do. And if you need help along the way, you definitely can reach out to us. Go to www.nonprofitenthusiast.com. You can schedule a free consult with us. And just like how we're having this conversation here, that's how our consults are as well. In the sense of, we're going to kind of ask you some questions and and be able to tell you like this may be an area you might want to consider. So definitely check that out on our website. You can do that. We also have a Facebook group where we drop a lot of free resources. So if you look us up on Facebook under Nonprofit Enthusiasts, which that link is on our website as well. But I just want you all to know if you're looking for free resources, we go live with different people every week, or I'll go on and kind of talk about different things that's challenging the nonprofit community. So if you just want more and just want to do more research into it, I definitely encourage you to go there as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you, I think you said this at the start, but make sure that you end with this. Do you work with people that already have nonprofits as well as those that are considering it, or one population? Or do you work with both?
We work with both. So, all size nonprofit organizations along with funders. So that's where our services serve. So yeah. So we work with whether your organization you just have the idea, or if you've been existent, and you just kind of need to refresh and rebuild, because with nonprofit, it's a continuous cycle. Even when you have your growth phase, you have to kind of look ahead to keep that cycle going. So we're there. So we're a full service consulting firm. And a lot of the services we do in house, and if we don't, we have referrals for.
I love it. So, Lasheena, thank you so
Mhm.
much for being on, sharing with the It's My Money community about nonprofit and the pros and cons. And if you're considering it, you kind of took them through the step of the idea to the discovery process to going all the way to the IRS. So, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, my cohort, sister cohort, cohort 4, y'all. Thank you so much for
Yes.
being here. You guys, you'll find her link down below in the show notes. If you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you drop down and hit that red subscribe button. If you're listening to the audio version, make sure you follow us on whichever platform that you're listening to this on. And if this show is helpful, even if you're not going to open a nonprofit or start a nonprofit, make sure you share it with somebody else that may be interested, that or is interested, and make sure they look up the nonprofit enthusiast, Miss
Yes.
Lasheena, and check her out. As you heard, she dropped a wealth of knowledge, and she gave at the beginning of the episode her background to let you know she is the real deal. So make sure that you check her out. And if you're interested in your proceeding along your money journey and helping with an upward trajectory in that, make sure you drop down and grab the resources that I have available. And if you are a small business owner and you're looking for grants for your small business owner for a for-profit or a nonprofit, make sure you grab the grants for small business owner link below and get over there, because there's a lot of money out here for us, y'all. So make sure that you grab that as well. I appreciate you for tuning in and staying locked with Patrina Dixon, the It's My Money Lady, in the Money Exchange. You all make it a fabulous day.